and thank you from wherever you're watching from, and welcome to this edition of the 20th Seeds of Gold Farm Clinic. Recall the one we had in Mukono, the 19th Seeds of Gold Farm Clinic, where we looked at coffee and fish. Well, today we are here at Kawanda, and we shall be looking at very interesting enterprises, banana and organic vegetables. Well, bananas, we shall take you through crop management, soils management, and commercialization. I have a team of very experienced people from Narrow here who will be taking us through these trainings. I have Dr. Okrut Wilson and Dr. Priva Namanya. Well, I think the banana team is ready. Let me just walk towards them. But this show, just like we did last time, you can send in your questions. If you have a question about banana, you have a question about organic vegetables, you have a question to our sponsors, and don't forget this show is sponsored by Stanbic Bank, NSSF, and Narrow. And of course, NTV, who have made sure that you have it right in the comfort of your sitting room. Mr. Okrut Wilson, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, what are we looking at here today?
Thank you. My name is Okrut, and we'll be talking about the growing of bananas with a commercial mind. Bananas have been in this country for a long time, but we've been growing bananas haphazardly, really not having the commercial mind at all, meaning that people have been growing with inferior varieties that are not very good, the local, not high yielding. They have also not been managing their bananas very well, because for you to grow bananas well, you must manage your soil properly, you must manage the plant properly, because there are three things interacting. Man, who is the manager, the soil, which must anchor the plant, which must have the other one. And the three must operate well in unison for them to do it. That has not been happening very well. The farmers have not been keeping records, so they cannot keep track. They don't know the strong points. They don't know when to make, whether they are making losses, they're just jumping up and down. I got the money, I got the money. So for you to be able to know your weak points and the strong points, you surely must keep your records. So what we are going to be doing today is that we are going to go across all the steps that we need to be able to produce a banana. Don't forget, banana farming has very many steps. And in each step, we are going to be mindful of the costs that are involved. That means that if you play around with your costs, you make them high, you lose. If you make them low, you stand the chances of benefiting from it. So what we are going to discuss now are activities falling within three categories. Those activities that will be done before we plant. Those activities, the second one, that we do at planting. And then those activities that we do after planting. The activities that we do, for example, before we plant, include such activities like selecting the site where we are going to put the bananas. Why must we select the site? Because it's absolutely important. Bananas must be put in the right place. Don't go and put a banana where there were sick bananas before, where there are rocks, where the place floods, a place which is not accessible in case you have to sell your bananas. So the right place must be good. It must be a free draining place. And then you work it out yourself, the rest of the things. The second aspect that we are going to consider is how to prepare your land. You prepare your land depending on how it is. You might have bought land which is forested. You might have to cut the forest. You could be having land which does not have even weeds. In that case, you just have to prepare your land and dig the holes. You might be having land which has got complicated weeds. You control the weeds. First, find a way of digging them. You might have a land which needs elaborate use of the tractor. Be mindful that the method you use will depend, the costs will depend on the method that you're using. So if you decide that you're going to slash, if you're going to use just a mere slasher like this one here, you're going to slash, it means that the cost is likely to be low. The cost of slashing an acre is about 50,000 if it doesn't have complicated weeds. However, if it is complicated weeds, it could go up to 100,000. The cost of plowing, for example, on the other hand, it's about, depending on an area, it could go up to 300,000. So every step that you're going to take, you'll be mindful of the cost. After preparing your land, you now prepare then to mark. You mark, by marking I mean determining the positions where you're going to put your banana, to fix your banana. And you mark at a spacing of 3 meters. Between a hole or a plant and a plant is 3 meters. Between this plant and this one is 3 meters. Between this line and this one is 3 meters. It is in that place where you put the peg that you are now going to what? To dig your hole. At that spacing of 3 meters by 3 meters, you are going to get 450 plants in an acre. It's very, very important that you mark the spacing. This is the spacing, that's the right spacing for the bananas to use. If you decide that you're going to narrow your spacing to 1.5 meters, the number of plants is going to shoot very high. And what will that will mean that the plants will overcrowd and you'll have small bunches. If on the other hand you decide that you're going to plant one banana here and another one after 6 meters, it means the population will reduce to about 200,000. And that has implications as far as profitability is concerned. You'll have fewer plants. Now when you're digging your hole, dig the black soil on the other side and separate it from this soil. The sense is that this soil, you can see it black, has got more organic matter. In most cases, is richer than this other soil here. This soil here, we are then going to mix up 2 basins of this soil here, this one here, and push it back into the hole as we prepare to plant. So we are going to mix up, just pour it there and mix it. And then fill up our hole, mix up. Here, you could do the mixing here, you could do the mixing outside. But it's much easier to mix it from here, push this other soil there. After we've done the mixing, then the next thing is to fix the plant here in the middle. We've got 2 types of planting material. We have tissue culture plants. We've got tissue culture plants. The plantlets that have been prepared from the lab. But we could also have the suckers that we have. Now, can you allow me to cross there? Okay. Now, these materials, a farmer can plant any material of his choice, but it has got implication of costs. Now, assuming this is called a maiden sucker. A maiden sucker is a sucker which is all, could you call a maiden? A maiden sucker is a big sucker, and there are those who prefer that they want to plant. You're not going to plant them high, but they just want to get material from here. They believe that this material is what does very well. By the way, the bigger the material you plant, the faster probably you get them, but the smaller the bunch. The smaller the material you plant, the little longer it takes for you, the bunch to mature, but you get a bigger bunch. Now this is called a maiden sucker, and this is called a sword sucker. We recommend that you plant sword suckers. These ones that have got sharp and they are vigorous and strong. Do not plant water suckers. Water suckers are suckers which are weak. Sometimes farmers go in for this one because it has leaves already. They go and plant this one, but in actual sense it is weak. So this one is weak. There are farmers, this one I said is a tissue culture plantlet, and this one is a water sucker. Some farmers say, I saw them bring materials from Kawanda. So he decides, because this one looks like this one, it's all Samona. No, this one is different from this one here. So this one is weak, and this one is tissue culture plants. So all water suckers are not recommended for planting. Then we use now the sword suckers. But because we want to reduce the cost of planting, we then decide to do what we call comparing. We are going to peel this plant here, peel it and remain with this other part here. What is the implication? The implication is that the cost will go down. If you decide to transfer plants like this, say to Gulu, you use 1.5 million. If you decide to transfer this, you pack them in just 4 bags, which is 40,000. That is a large thing. That's a difference of 1.4. And that you're talking about profitability. Now our hole is almost ready for planting. You could plant either of these here. A caution. Sometimes farmers, because they have heard that bananas love water and like water, they imagine that water keeps inside this bag here. So they decide to plant it with this bag here. This bag is not for keeping the water here and should not be left in here. So you tear it off. Please tear it off before you plant. Tear it off, and when you tear it off, there is this other polythene bag here. Do not just simply throw it. Collect all the polythene bags together and then you will only fix the plant in the soil. Note that he's putting back only the black soil, and we are not going to use this other red soil here. However, I'm not going to fix in this other tissue culture plant. Let us use what we call a paired comb, because this is the cheapest method, technology, that any farmer can do. As long as the farmer knows that he has sword suckers, he just picks up the sword sucker and then he cleans it and then he fixes it here. But before you do this, you have got the exercise of selecting out the plant. Where do you select the material that you plant? You select the material from already approved material. We have here, for example, already our material which is resistant to diseases, which has better adaptability, which has good conversion rates, and it can give us heavy bunches. In terms of matoke, for example, we now have the matoke hybrids. We have the matoke hybrids, for example, here. We have narrowband 1, narrowband 2, narrowband 3, narrowband 4, and narrowband 5. We also have the cabanas here that we have 6H and 6.5. 8 of them can then be selected. Once you have planted them there vegetatively, every farmer can be able to dig out the suckers. When you dig out using your varieties, Dr. Priva will be talking about the seeds in the seed systems. So, in our hole, which is ready for planting, we now simply make a hole in the center. In the center of this one, that's enough. And then we fix this plant in the center here. Then we cover it. We cover it. Sometimes farmers are scared. They say, I'm not going to cover the whole thing. Cover it and leave a thickness of about 4 centimeters. 4 centimeters is an equivalent of an inch. So about 4 centimeters. Do not overcover it. Don't bury like you're burying some animal. Bury it and give some space. Now, depending on the time when you're planting, you could be planting towards the season because you may never know, or you plant and the drought comes. It's advisable that you spot mulch on around this other hole here, then you put mulch. The mulch you put, mulch is dry grass which is put within the hole, open for me, to enable you to keep more moisture or water in the soil. Let the plant not get a lot of shock. You put us enough of it. You could put, there are different forms of mulch. The mulch, there are mulches which are external, they come outside. The richest mulches which come from outside the garden are the ones which are recommended because they put in. Mulches which come from inside, they put little, they only help you to keep water. So if you put them there, just to help you keep water there, the plant will germinate, but later on we are not going to continue with them around in that system mulching here. We just simply need the plant to be protected, keep as much moisture here as much as possible. And you wait. Don't keep coming here to open and see where the plant will be coming out from. No. It comes out and shoots out from there. At this point here, we have stopped, we have already planted our plant. So the activities that bring us up to planting now stop here. Now the next form of activities are the activities which involve managing the plant in the field and managing the soil. It's absolutely important for us to understand that in the farming of bananas, there are 3 interacting factors. This should not leave the mind of the farmer. We have the soil, which is the biological bank, where we keep the resources. We have already put our resources there. This is the source of our fertilizers. Then we have the plant, which man is growing, to be able to give him that, the produce. So we have the 3 things. We have the soil, we have the plant, we have the man. The principle is that man must feed the soil must feed the plant must feed man. Sometimes people do the other way around, which is not good. Let not man feed the plant direct because there will be complaint. And let not man abandon the 2 of them because sometimes you plant and you just go and peep whether the branches are there. When you do that, the soil and the plant will team up to make sure you don't get branches and you don't blame them. So the protocol must be followed. Before you reach LC3, you must pass through LC1. There is no point about it. Follow the things that other way, and that's the way the things work. If you decide that you are going to bypass the LC1, he's likely to say, this guy thinks I don't understand. I wait for them, they come for a recommendation. So man should never get, for example, get liquid fertilizers, apply on the leaves get green, the soil will complain. On the other hand, he can decide to plant the plants and neglect them. The soil and the plant will team up. This is absolutely important. The soil and the plant will team up and keep saying, what does this boss think about us? And they talk in tongues and for you don't understand. When they say Rabba Shakara, for you don't understand. Kumbe they are saying, let's not give him branches. It's absolutely important that you allow them to interact. Do your part, let them do their parts. Once you've done that, and that you're doing well, things will flow well. What happens in the soil? I said the soil is a biological bank. We keep fertilizers. In the fertilizers, there are two forms of fertilizers. We have organic fertilizers, those that involve manures, all sorts of manures, from all sorts of animals, but some are richer than others. Animal manure, poultry manure. But you could also have manure from residues. Some of them are richer than others. We can use them because they release the fertility there. Why do I like us to begin with this other one here? These manures release a lot of fertility in the soil. They help to keep more water in the soil. They help the rooting. They have the binding properties. They are like cement, meaning that if you had a soil which was sandy and you put manure, it stops running water. Meaning that if you have a soil which was clay, the soil begins to capture the water. So you change it as it regulates the properties and does many other things. But you don't use it alone because there is no soil that is rich to take care of itself completely. Every soil needs additions. You already began with the soil. I call it capital. On top of capital, you have a deposit. I'll put the organic manures. But at one time, because they have their own limitations, you are going to need supplements and you're going to use mineral fertilizers. Those are fertilizers bought from the shops that you have got there. Now, what is the problem with this other one here? The problem with organic manure is that they release less manure. Because they release less, you need large quantities for you to use. And because you need large quantities, you spend more on that one there. But because you spend more, it becomes costly. However, on the other hand, we then have the other type of fertilizers, which are called mineral fertilizers. Mineral fertilizers are applied only after determining which mineral is wanted very much. In the growing of banana, it's a well-known fact that bananas there are more minerals. There are other limiting. Bananas use minerals, but there are those that are liked more for them to do well. First, probably I didn't mention. In the soil, there will be roots. The work of roots is tap water. And the best root should be a root which is long, a root which is big, a root which is healthy, the roots which are many. The more they are, the better. And the element that works is phosphorus. After that, you will need the roots. The more the roots, the bigger the stem. The bigger the stem, you'll agree with me. The bigger the stem, the more the leaves. The more the leaves, the bigger the bunch, the more the clusters. So if you want your bunch to be good, you must start from the soil. There is no shortcut. You start with the soil and you move upward there. So if you're starting very well, now you have started with your manures. But you need to supplement. Now, the elements which are critical very much is element which is nitrogen, which offers nitrogen, and the other one which offers potassium. What do they do? I told you that for the roots, we need phosphorus. But for the leaves to be green, we need this one here. This is called urea. It looks like sugar. This urea here supplies nitrogen. Nitrogen, the work of nitrogen is to make sure that the leaves are green, the leaves are long, the leaves are many, and the leaves are active. What does that mean? The work of leaves is to prepare food. To prepare food means to cook food, to make food in their own process. To cook food, you need a saucepan, you need water, you need fire, you need everything for food to be well cooked. There is a system that is available there to be able to tap fire from the sun, to be able to use the water from here for them to make food there. How it does that, you leave it to itself. But the process must be at its maximum there. And that's how it is done. So for it to be at its best, you must have very green leaves, large leaves, long leaves, and many leaves, as I've mentioned it. Because that must be done. And that should be done very well. So this is about these fertilizers here. So you have already put there, and you are going to continue. So one of the things you are going to do, and you are going to keep doing, is to make sure that you have enough food, you have enough water. You have enough food, you have enough water. What's the problem with these fertilizers? The advantage, first of all, with these fertilizers is that you will apply them when you need them. They are very cheap. Many people think that these fertilizers are expensive. Remove them for me. Take them inside. Many people think that these fertilizers are expensive. Actually, they are cheaper. That's why we recommend that a combination, combining the use of this one here, because it helps to tie water, to capture water, and then the resource take them inside. To teach them to capture helps you to produce at the least cost. Remember I told you, if you want to produce, for example, you need like 12 trucks of that manure in 1 acre. 12 trucks of manure, they call them ERFs, that's about 150 per truck. That's a lot of money. Whereas you could actually use, because not every farmer is able to use 2 basins. There are farmers who are able to use 2 basins. There are farmers who are able to use 1 basin. There are farmers who are able to use a quarter basin. You should take care of all the farmers. So in case a farmer wants 1 basin, he can use certain rate. In case a farmer can you apply 1/2 basin, he can use another rate. And that's very, very important.
Okay. You see the rain is not on our side. I think Philip, we shall have to cut a moment. Then we go for a commercial break. But to our viewers, please bear with us. Let's take a commercial break. Then we shall come back with Philip continuing to show us all about the manures and the soil. Thank you. Down. Please note down that question. You can send us a question on our Facebook and Twitter handles, Twitter at NTV Uganda and Facebook at NTV Uganda. You can also send us via Daily Monitor at Daily Monitor on Twitter and at Daily Monitor on Facebook. Well, Wilson was still showing us something to do with the manure when you're working in your banana garden. Wilson, something that I think even the farmer watching from home is burning to them. From our we've come to realize that 3 things are actually giving them a lot of headache. 1, how to manage their garden. 2, how the value it, then we now don't have whatever they are producing. But well, I understand your area is more of how to manage this garden. So you were telling us something about this manure. Where does this manure come from? For example, when I look at this, I'm seeing something like dung. Is this cow dung?
Yeah.
Cow dung.
Yes.
Okay. If a farmer, for example, does maybe start from there.
Hello, thank you. When we went off for the break, we've just been talking about fertilizers, the different type of fertilizers. And we remember we said that we've got 2 types of fertilizers. Those that are manures, the dungs, as we said, the dungs, all forms of dungs. The one from human beings is tricky to be processed, but also is less fertile, it has less fertility. The one which is rich is the one of animals and the birds. Now, if a farmer does not have manure, enough manure, he can use poultry manure. If that is not adequate, the farmer can then use, we have worked out proportions. The recommendation is 2 basins, but not every farmer can use, that is what we have put there in the basket. If the farmer cannot use 2 baskets, farmers afford 1 basin. They are able to afford half a basin. That's why I talked out those fertilizers. We've worked out rates, which rates we've already had. Don't forget that I told you that one advantage with these manures is that the manures help, they have their own advantages, but they are unable to supply. The manures and then the fertilizers which we buy from the shops. So you can use 1 basin, for example, and use rates of fertilizers that we have worked out. Or you can use a half a basin. For example, you can use 1 basin and use 25 grams of urea and then 95 grams of what? Mop. Mop is muriate of potash. Remember, I told you that not all elements are used. There are some which are critical. In the growing of banana, the critical one is the element I was talking about when we went. I was talking about the elements leaves, for example, the element that works on the roots, which is potassium, phosphorus, the element that works on the leaves, which is what? Which is nitrogen, and the element that works on the fruit, because you don't grow bananas for just this. Now, the element that works on fruit is what is called potassium, and it's available in shops as muriate of potash, that brown thing that I was showing you there. Now, the work is to make sure that the fruits are good, because what people buy in the market is actually the quality of the fruit, not just the size of the fruit, the quality of the fruit. So it is this fertilizer here that works on that. So the combination of what is on the beyond the root is now the one what works on the leaves, because it helps us to manufacture, to tap water and do the cooking, and then the leaf remains green because it has the capacity. The leaf now operates like a solar panel, which solar panel taps power from electricity from the sunshine. It brings on just, if it is dry season and it is too hot, you don't want to buy that, because it may not be adequate. We don't want the food not to get ready. So it has on mechanism. That must be at its best when the green is good, and that's what we are saying. So going back to your question, you have these rates here. There are those who can afford very little. Doesn't mean they should not grow bananas. There are those that afford 2 basins, half basin. We've taken care of all of them. The manures, chicken manure, poultry manure, all the manures, but the manures must be well processed. Then we continue. Now, once you have the manures, once you have our manures ready now, the other thing we have to do is to make sure that we have enough water in here in the soil. And the way to keep the water is you can decide to mulch, and we have all the mulch. Mulch is the grass which is placed on top of on the surface of the earth. The purpose of the mulch is to help us keep water down, but also it decomposes and adds to the fertility of the soil. But also this mulch here helps us to suppress the weeds. The grass come up, the mulch will help us to suppress, on top of keeping the water. With the water, the second form of keeping water is this mulch. The third form is now digging trenches in your garden. I'm afraid I will have to walk again. Where's what we call trenches? I'll walk you over. Will you reach? Of this water and keep it in the field. Instead of having water to run over and to waste it, the water is captured in the field. You can dig the trenches, but you dig them across. The trench is about 2 feet, and you can go down even 2 feet. And that should be able to capture enough water. And this is called, there are different types of trenches. This particular one is called the tie band. The one which has portions which do not allow the water to run all through, because you could have a slope. So you tie those bands there, and so you will have kept them. Another thing that you could do to be able to help you to keep, to make sure that the amount of water that is there in the field is not really, is not wasted, is make sure that all the time you keep your field weed free. You can see that this one is weed free. After mulching, it's important that the farmer does not disturb the mulch. So don't use the hoe again. You just go ahead and pull the weeds. The next thing that you can do is to keep the population, the number of suckers that are on one stool, to the standard. Don't have too many suckers. The recommendation is to have 3 to 5. What do I mean? That in this case, in this setting here, you could have the mother, you could have the follower, you could have the daughter here. Those are 3. But you could still have 5. You could have 2 followers, and then you could have the other one here. If you decide that you have too many suckers, there will be competition, and the bunch size will be down. If you decide that you have 1 sucker, that will again mean that you are having to wait for long before you get the bunches. Another thing, make sure that this is staggered. When you select your plants, let them be the 5 plants be one size, because you harvest at one and you fold your hands. Let it be staggered so that as you harvest this one, you have another one, and then you have another one there, and it's recycled. Another activity that you do to save water and nutrients is what we call detrashing. Detrashing is the removal of trash. You can use this one. Detrashing is the removal of trash. Where is the panga? Detrashing is the removal of trash. Oh, detrashing is the removal of trash. Trash is anything that is what? That is dry. That needs to be what? To be removed. Anything that is hanging, that needs to be removed. But when you remove, don't just throw them haphazardly. You arrange them in your field in such a way that is able to have, you have a smart field, but also the water has not run. Do not arrange them in such a way that they are sloping. Arrange them in such a way that they are across the gradient, because this is slope. We don't want to have erosion. We don't want to lose soil. And so you remove all the hanging leaves. You do not cut the banana like you are slaughtering a chicken. You either cut it going up, or you cut it going down. You see that? Don't cut it like this, because when you cut, you injure and you cause wounding. So each time that you have so many wounds, the plant has to figure out, has to do out what? How to heal the wounds. So that's very, very important. Do not injure the plant, but continue like that. Another activity that we are going to do is to make sure that we avoid the wastage of the nutrient by removing all the male birds. A male bird is this one here. The banana is like a hermaphrodite. It has got two parts. It has and that's the part that we need. So these are the part that we don't, when they send the resources here, it is meant for the wife and the husband, plus the people who live in the home. But these others here, we don't need them. So we have to remove this one here, and the recommendation is that we use a forked stick. Why do we use a forked stick? Because these days we have diseases. If you use a sharp comb, we could have used this one here, but because of the danger that we have had with some diseases, we don't want to move the diseases. If it was free, we surely should have just cut. But now, because we are sensitive, we are going to use this. Simpler. So what you do here, you twist. Some people do like this. But if you do this, and you leave this one here, you leave them feeding. We want to have as few as possible. Preferably cut it from this point here, remove off our distant one, so that you have the one for handling. And that's what you save the resources. The other one now is that now you have all activities here. The other one is now to make sure that our banana is safe. So the other activity is to support our banana, and that is called a stake. This is called staking. Staking is the bringing of a pole which has got two, it's a fork. Staking or propping is the supporting of a banana. The support must have this other fork at the end here. Sometimes farmers just put something like this. And it is this point that the plant will break. So we want to make it safe. Make it as strong as possible. Handle it from this point, but sometimes you might have to add others. At this point, you have supported them. Then we now have the other activities that help us to stabilize the mud as we prepare to move to other activities there. Let me just show you one. This activity is called mattocking. Mattocking is the cutting of a banana at the time of harvesting, because now we have moved, our bananas are ready, and you're ready to harvest them. When you harvest, it's a good habit to harvest and leave some parts up standing, especially when you have only one plant, because it keeps stability there. Number two, the farmer might not have time to split all the stem, to chop all the what? To chop all this. So you have to do the chopping of this thoroughly well, because there is what we have there, and I'll be talking about the pests and the diseases now. We are going to talk about it. So this activity of mattocking helps us to stabilize the mat, to make sure that the plant it remains strong. But you also have this material here that will help you there, where we are going now in controlling the pests and the diseases. There are other activities that attached to this one here is what we call comb removal. Comb removal is the removal of the part. After harvesting this, you have to remove all this and make sure that the weevils do not eat, as I'm going to illustrate from there. Another one probably is if your plants do not germinate well, you might have to do gap filling. There are gaps like this one here that you need to cover, and you will have to fill them. At this point, we are now ready to go to our next activity, that is to control pests and diseases. And we are going this way. I told you that one of the factors that help to reduce the food and water from the plant is diseases. We have diseases that affect the leaves, and what do? They do leaves in the plant. What happens? God and compare. This is a hybrid, this is a hybrid, that is a hybrid. But here this is Chibuzi. Can you see this? Looked at the other one, looked at the others, they are resistant. So one of the ways of controlling it is using resistance. They produce the leaves, see? And Sigatoka can only eat off some few leaves, then you retain the rest of the leaves. So manage your plantation. The plant produces so many leaves, large leaves, green leaves, and you have better bunches. It causes the bananas to wilt. One of these wilts is a wilt caused by fungus. It disrupts the movement of water and nutrients from down. The plant, you see this cracking here. You see this cracking here. This is what that disease does here. And when you look at the cross section here, it has begun disrupting here from this center here. This will rot and the water is not able to go this. What finally will happen is that the plant will start rotting, cracking, and die, and you see this kind of thing. And so this disease is called Fusarium wilt or Panama wilt. Fortunately enough, this disease affects Kalindizi, Bogoya, group Matoke, where you had this one here. But the next group of the next one, okay. Oh, Musa Kainja, it will get. But if I cut Matoke, it will not. It is. What I have to do is each time I have to do this, and this is jig.
Okay, we can continue. I understand, but what is agriculture without rain? Yeah, we surely need it. So you were demonstrating something. Can continue?
So I was talking about Panama disease. This is the disease that affects Bogoya, affects Kalindizi. That disease and Musa Kainja. It has been here for over 50 years and it resides in the soil. It's soil-borne. It means once it's there, you've got to learn to live positively with it. There is not much you can do.
Okay.
Except if you use resistant material. What is the resistant material? Matoke types. Okay. That is it. As long as it's Kalindizi, it is in the soil, it will keep there, it will keep there. So you got to use the resistant material.
Okay, Wilson,
But
my
I
producer
said,
tells me we have exactly 1 minute. So
1
you can
minute.
sum up as we go
Okay,
to
okay,
the value addition.
okay.
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So tools, jig, and so on. The next one is bacterial wilt, which is a wilt in the same banana. They suffer from it. You must use A, B, C, D, and this is important. A, B, C, D. Make sure that you always avoid moving bananas which are sick. B, break off the male bud using the other fork stick. C, chop and cut all affected blood. And C, remember to disinfect your tool. As this one here, which is called the banana borer or thing here, this black insect here. This is snapping, the breaking of the banana from this other bottom here. So it disrupts the they are hard, not cut by.
Bank, Stanbic Bank is the #1 bank for farmers. It has many products for you, the farmers out there watching. So if you want to engage in agriculture of this nature, please make sure that you go to any Stanbic Bank branch. But also we have NSSF. NSSF, they have a product called voluntary benefit. So with voluntary benefit, you the farmer, don't say that I've been left out by the NSSF system. You can still remit your savings with NSSF through the voluntary benefit. But I also want to thank NARO, our hosts today here at Kawanda Station. And of course NTV bringing you this training live from the comfort of your home. Well, we have very interesting pieces of work here. This looks to be the Katikiro of Maiga. Dr. Priva, you're taking us through this section. Please, we shall share the microphone. Please come over. So when I see, okay, this looks like banana fiber. These are, I think they are table mats. Okay, table mats. And by the way, the prices are also here, very quite friendly prices. We also have some watches, and by the way, all these are coming from the bananas. So you, the farmer who has been throwing away all the fiber, the ones that you get from your garden, now you see they are actually of very, very much use. Is this a lamp? I think this is a lamp holder. Okay, at this moment in time, I think I'll introduce Dr. Priva. Please come and we. Okay, I think I don't need this anymore. Yes, Dr. Priva. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yes. We see very, very beautiful pieces of work here. Is this what you would call the value addition from the bananas?
Part of it.
Part of it.
Yes.
I was telling Wilson, one of the things that the farmers want to understand, especially from this section, one is, please come closer, one is the value addition. What you're saying is a bit of what we are seeing here. Then two, the commercialization. Where do they get the market? For example, someone has this kind of beautiful artwork. Where do they get the market? But also the food from the garden. The market is still a big problem to the farmers. Maybe I'll let you explain from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, from what you have been told about Okrut has taken us through the growing, the management, and how much what we need to put in to get out the most out of growing bananas. So after we have increased production, after we have had the maximum input and maximum output, we know that we have been growing bananas mainly for food. But the direction we are taking now is growing bananas or farming bananas for cash, for more than food, just beyond food, not just eating. So ideally, the banana plant you can use every part of the plant to add value. You can get value from the leaves, you can get value from the fruit, you can get value from the pseudostem, you can get value from the comb, the last part of the plant. The main thing that is being utilized is the fruit. Of course, we eat the fruit, but there is different value chains in the utilization of the fruit. We have people who are using the fruit to make juices, beverages. There's people who are doing wine. There's people who are doing flour. There's from the fruit. There are people who are making crisps. There are people who are exporting fresh bananas. All these are opportunities in the utilization of the fruit. There are also people who are doing drying and. Okay, you want me to go this side? So that is the part of utilization of the fruit. We are also able to utilize the stem, the pseudostem. Usually, when the banana has been harvested, the stem is left in the plantation. But there's a budding industry for banana fiber, and that's what we are exhibiting today. We are in partnership with different other companies that are adding value to the different parts of the plant. But today we are exhibiting our partner TexFAD, and it's TexFAD Vocational Business Incubator. They are located in Mukono. So TexFAD is in partnership with us to make products from banana fiber. So what we have here, you may have to go on that side. What we have here is carpet from fiber. First of all, we do have this. What you have on the other side, over the other side, is pseudostems. Now those pseudostems, they are the ones where fiber is made from. And I'm going to request Simon to have a quick demonstration of how the fiber is extracted. So here is the machine that extracts the fiber. Turn it off. Please turn it off. Please turn it off. Turn it off. Okay. So what we have here is fiber from bananas, and this is very good quality high fiber from one of our improved hybrids, which has already been released. Now, this fiber is manually woven to make that type of fiber, and this is being used to make different products. What we have here is car rugs, for example. We have car rugs, and a piece of car rug here goes for 50,000. We are demonstrating bedside rugs. You have a piece that goes for 65 to 100,000. You have round mats there, and these are 100%. They are 100% banana fiber. They have a lifespan that is not less than 20 years. So that is that aspect of products. Again, from banana fiber, what remains after the fiber has been extracted can be used to make briquettes. But also, not only that, from fiber we can make, apart from the rugs, where there is also textile, so cloth. There is also paper, and also making of briquettes. So today we have an illustration here of briquettes from banana waste, and they have an advantage that when you compare it with charcoal from timber, you have a cost advantage, but you also have a cooking time advantage. While 1 kilogram of charcoal will last you only 40 minutes of cooking time, 1 kilogram of charcoal will last you 2 hours of cooking time. What that means is that for a 50 kilogram bag of charcoal, you get 3 times more cooking time, but three times less the cost in terms of input. So, and then it is clean energy. This is clean energy, but also this is a good way of is a potential way of contributing to the waste management that we have in the urban cities. You can see when bananas are traded into the urban center, they all come with the peels, with the parts of the pseudostem, all the waste that comes from bananas. Instead of cluttering Tezi and all the crowd that is in Kampala and all the urban centers in this country, we should be able to make, there's a potential here industry for making briquettes. And this is happening. So here are the briquettes. We have a 10 kilogram bag at 10,000 shillings, and the bags are here. You can pick one for yourselves. So that's the advantage for cooking time. There's also table mats, and these are also, a set of 6 pieces at 60,000 for, this is 97%, 97% banana fiber, and all this is making value to the pseudostem, which would have been thrown out. So we are only exhibiting really fiber, and as I said, there's a lot more. There are a lot more other things happening in utilizing the fruit and utilizing the other components of the plant. But it is really to say that for farmers, where there is excess in the production, and even the stems that you have on the plant, they can be used. You don't have to wait and rely only on the bunch. The thing that I would like to say to our farming community is, we would like to encourage us to embrace improved varieties. We would like us to embrace nutrition, because the plant needs to be fed. If a plant is not fed, then we don't have output from it. I think that has clearly been emphasized. The other thing is, for purposes of building and accessing markets, the farmers have got to stop working in silos. There has to be a shift from, and we have a good shift now, from working as single farmers to working in groups. For example, we have the Uganda Banana Growers Cooperative Union, which is bringing together cooperative societies to be able to harness access to inputs, to be able to harness improvements and working together to improve productivity, to be able to access markets, but also to lobby for supportive policy structures. So we encourage farmers to join these groups, so that together, when the farmers are together, they are able to trade in more meaningful ways, but also getting better value out of the produce that they make.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Priva. Well, these are, I must say, these are very beautiful pieces of work. But one question, briefly, where can a person interested, for example, in this art piece, the car mat, the round mat, where can they find them? TexFAD. Okay. TexFAD is TexFAD incubation. Let me see what they are called. TexFAD Vocational Business Incubator is a vocational training and business partner with